I'm Miss Comica. Welcome to my very first video. Got my Marvel shirt in there. This is going to be an introduction video, and I have some questions set aside, kind of like a tag, but one that I created myself. This video is going to be introducing myself, talking a little bit more about what I'm interested in and why I'm starting this channel and why I think that I'm a good person to start this channel. So first question is to introduce myself. So my name is Kendra. I live in California. I'm a barista, and things that I like to do besides comic reading would be I like the outdoors. I like to hike, ride my bike, go camping. I'm also really into fitness and nutrition, so I like to go to the gym, and I also like to cook. So I have a lot of hobbies, but my favorite thing is comic books. Alright, so why do I think I'm a nerd? I'm pretty nerdy because, first off, my cat's name is Samus, so that's pretty nerdy. My biggest interests include reading comics and playing video games and watching anime, which I think those are all pretty stereotypical of a nerd. Why am I making this channel? So the big question, I'm making this channel because I started reading comics, getting into comics about 2 years ago, and my brother and sister-in-law got me into it, and we went to the comic book store and I had no idea where to start. It wasn't that it was intimidating, it was just that I wanted to get the most out of it. I didn't know where to start, and I wanted to get something that would be up my alley and entertaining. It's kind of like going to a bookstore and never reading a book before. Like, where do you start, So my brother and sister-in-law, they're comic collectors more than readers, and so they gave me great advice, and they told me to pick my favorite character slash superhero and start collecting comics based around them. My favorite comic superhero of all time is Rogue from the X-Men, and so I started just collecting comics that were based around her, but also I found the X-Men series that was running at that time. It was like an all-female lead, and so I started collecting that one, and I started reading it, and it was interesting, but it wasn't something where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until the next issue comes out. So I went on YouTube and I tried to find a channel that helped me know where to start, or hey, what's popular, what's really cool right now, or even just reviews of certain comics that I'd seen at the comic book store, and then thinking like, okay, that's something that appeals to me. And to be honest, I couldn't find anything like that, and even today I still can't find anything like that. I know there are a lot of people that do comic book reviews, and there's even girls out there that do it too, but I was specifically looking for a girl that did weekly comic book reviews and giving me suggestions as to where to start or things like that. And I'm not saying there's nobody out there, I'm just saying I couldn't find it. I'm still kind of getting started myself. Like I said, I've only been doing this for 2 years, and I'm still learning about everyone's backgrounds and history of comics and all that stuff, but we can learn together. Number 4, it's my favorite comic of all time. So that would be Elektra. I think it's volume 3. It's illustrated by Mike Del Mundo. And that's one of the first comic series that I started reading and collecting. It's honestly my favorite that I've read so far. It's just so, I think it's really the illustrations that have captured it for me, and it really established Mike Del Mundo as one of my favorite comic book illustrators. Really just establishing Elektra as one of my top 3 favorite comic book heroes of all time. And I know she's kind of an underrated character, but honestly, that series made me fall in love with her. And I think that that's the beauty of having a great artist, but also a great writer, and I recommend that. Favorite movie of all time? My favorite movie of all time is Kill Bill, probably volume 2, I don't know, 1 or 2, what did I say? I don't know, I think maybe volume 1, just because I'm really interested in the Japanese culture. But Tarantino is one of my favorite writers, directors, people of all time. I love all of his movies. I typically lean towards assassin stories, or especially revenge stories, or women in great power roles. So this is just right up my alley. So anything that's really related to Kill Bill in the story is something that I'm interested in. But some runner-ups would be like Reservoir Dogs. Like, that's probably my second favorite Tarantino movie. Besides Tarantino, I do like classic movies such as Singing in the Rain and Gone with the Wind. So those are probably my top 3, would be Kill Bill, Singing in the Rain, and Gone with the Wind. I know, completely different genres, but that's kind of how I am. I'm kind of all over the place and have a lot of different interests. Alright, next question. Favorite video game of all time. My favorite like franchises are Final Fantasy. I'm a huge Final Fantasy freak. I've been playing Final Fantasy 15 like all day, every day, non-stop. I'm so obsessed with it. I love it. So Final Fantasy is my favorite franchise of all time. But I also really love the Assassin's Creed franchise. I've played all of them, and I guess I would have to say my favorite in each of the series would be Final Fantasy, probably 6, and in Assassin's Creed I would say Black Flag. Favorite anime, I would have to pick probably Death Note. I know it's a really popular one, it's probably everybody's favorite, but it was the first one that I'd ever seen like entirely through, and it's just one of those ones that get you, like, just get you sucked in. And I think that really enticed me into anime. A genre that I'm really interested in is mystery, and that's just, Death Note is right up my alley. Other anime that I like are the Fate Stay Night series. I liked Unlimited Blade Works the best. I love Archer. I love his story. Also, Akame ga Kill. That's probably one of my all-time favorites, and that goes right up there with, you know, assassins and revenge stories and ultra violence. So if those are things that you're interested in, I would check out Akame ga Kill. But those are my top 3. It would be Death Note, and then Unlimited Blade Works, and Akame ga Kill. Well, I'm on my anime list, so if you want to see what I'm watching, what I want to watch, offer me suggestions, I'll link my username below and maybe pin it here to see how great I am at editing. That'd be fun. Let's be friends. Number 8, my favorite superhero of all time, specifically Sailor Jupiter. Sailor Jupiter is my favorite sailor out of all of them, but Sailor Moon is just my favorite franchise. I love Sailor Moon. Otherwise, it would be Rogue. As I said, Rogue from X-Men. She's my favorite like comic book superhero. And then third, I would say Elektra. I loved her in the Daredevil series as well, the TV series. Ugh. I hope they do a spin-off of her because I freaking love her. I hope you don't hear the guy blowing leaves outside. We'll see. Alright, number 9, my favorite Game of Thrones house. Team Stark all the way, baby. I mean, winter is coming. I'm Jon Snow, like Arya, done. Team Stark, winter has my heart. Obviously, I love Daenerys. She encompasses all of my favorite things. I'm kind of rooting for her to take the throne. But, I mean, if I have to pick a house, I have to pick Team Stark. Alright, and the final question is my favorite comic artist of all time. I have 4 top favorites. So, number 1 would be Babs Tarr. Babs is my number 1, like no one comes close to her. She's my all-time favorite. I met her. Hopefully I can pin a picture right here. I buy comics that she is illustrated for, and if they're not good, I'll just continue to buy them because I love her art so much. Number 2 would be Mike Del Mundo. I talked about him already. He also did Weird World, which I really liked. I love his style. It's like a watercolor style. Number 3 would be Skottie Young. He's pretty popular. He does a lot of the issue 1s for Marvel, which is like a baby version of like variants and stuff, and that's kind of his style, is he does kind of like baby versions of things. I don't really know how to explain it. I'll try and frame something here of something that he's done, but I love it. I think it's so cute. I try and collect all of his number 1 variant versions of Marvel babies. I also collected his The Wizard of Oz. He did like a series of that, and I have all of those. Number 4 would be Fiona Staples. She's pretty popular right now, but she's also the illustrator for Saga, which is right now one of my, it's like my favorite comic. I love it. If Elektra wasn't my favorite of all time, I would pick Saga, and I recommend that to anyone who's getting into comics. I think that I love it so much because of, well, both Brian K. Vaughan's writing, but also Fiona's illustrations. It just wouldn't be the same if anybody else illustrated it. So those are my favorites, Babs, Mike, Fiona, and Skottie. Not in that order. That's gonna be it for my introduction tag, and I hope that I've introduced myself properly, and if anybody has any questions or suggestions, go ahead and feel free to leave them below. Oh yeah, so some ideas that I have for this channel. I want to post weekly, and I want to post every Thursday, or at least every Thursday that I get comics. Comics come out every Wednesday. Each series typically comes out once a month. So if you're following a certain comic book series, you're probably going to get one issue a month. Comic book day is Wednesday, so I would like to post every Thursday, and I want to call it Pull List, and I want to post it on Thursdays because I want to get the comics on Wednesday, read them, and then when I post on Thursday, you guys can see kind of like a haul of what I've received, but also my brief review of them. So I remember when I used to go to the comic store, I would be there at the store and I would be like YouTubing, you know, reviews on certain comics because I'm like, oh, this one looks cool, and then I would want a review about it to see if it actually is cool. So that's why I want to do it on Thursday, so it's like the very next day after they come out, some, you know, you guys have an idea about the certain comics that I've picked up. And then I also want to do a series called Currently, which is basically like a monthly favorites video where it's like what I'm currently into or currently reading or playing or just interested in general. I also kind of want to do a series called Afterwards, and I'm interested in doing like reviews of things that I've completed, so maybe like Final Fantasy 15. I also want to do Westworld. Those are kind of the things that I have in mind for this channel. But like I said, if you have any ideas or questions or anything at all, just let me know in the comments or tweet me. Speaking of that, you can friend me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. I have all of those things and they'll be linked below in the description box. I have a lot of great ideas for this channel and I hope that you stick around and tell your friends. Alright, I'll see you soon. Bye.